It's snowing. Where are you, Scott? It's spring.
I'm in upstate New York. It was
Mm,
70 here last week, so this is not unusual for this time of year.
yeah,
Everything's crazy.
climate change, aliens, the Mandela effect.
None
Oh,
of
we're
that is
streaming.
real.
Are we
Girl Scout cookies.
are we streaming? All right. Ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests, welcome one and all to the final seven judges panel, where you have come together to judge each other and determine who is now going to be bested from the competition. So let's talk about Final Seven. Final Seven is typically the area and the place to make moves. They say it all the time. Odd numbers matter. Jess, does that ring true for this game right now? Is this a time when taking advantage of the odd number will matter?
It sure could. It is an odd number. But who knows if that's gonna happen. I woke up 2 minutes before we got here, so
Are you disappointed? Are you hoping something else happens?
I think that if what I think is gonna happen happens, I think that I'm okay with it.
Okay. All right. Scott, last round, there was an idle play. And with that idle play, we ended up with a tie vote between Jess and Jacob, and then the rest just kind of ended up falling on Jacob. Was that a surprise to see happen, or were there multiple plans in place?
Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're unmuted.
Oh, sorry, I can't hear anything for some reason. I mean, it was a surprise to me. My heart was racing that whole time because I had no idea what to expect. And so I'm finding right now that my heart is racing and I'm very anxious because I'm like, we're at that point where all the crazy stuff's happening. So I have no idea what to expect. But it's Big Brother where they say expect the unexpected, right?
Yes.
Wrong game, but applies here.
So would you say you're nervous tonight, Scott?
Oh yeah. I think it's easy earlier on in the game to kind of know where you stand more. But now there's no fucking way. And my gut is usually pretty good. And it's been flipping over for the last hour. So I'm nervous.
Denson, it seems like there's a lot of nervous energy in the room coming from Scott. Just kind of says shouldn't really not certain what's going on. Where does that leave you? How are you feeling right now, Denson?
Not nervous because I've kind of there are really only two options tonight. Especially because I actually do believe people actually were doing stuff today. I don't think they were purposely avoiding me this round like they were last round. I think that it'll either go 5-1-1, where 5 votes go me, I vote someone, and someone throws a hinky vote just in case I play something else. Or people just decide they want to just play ball and just do wild shit, which, like you said, it's seven, so that's when things tend to happen. I know for me, and I talked to Jess last night, and it was a great conversation. And I told her straight to her face, if I get, and I'm telling everyone else this now, if I get the javelin, if I get voted out, and I get the javelin tomorrow night or whenever it is, the person that I am not taking out is Jess. I will not be getting rid of her because at this point, y'all have just kind of let this happen. Now she's on a winning streak. And I'm not going to take out the best player because I'm annoyed that I got voted out. So if I do get it, it's your own fault if you go home. But just know it's not going to be you.
Jess, how does that make you feel?
Vincent and I did have a really, really, really long conversation last night. It was probably the longest convo I've honestly had in this game, and I think it was needed because Denton and I have been at each other's throats a little bit. Like, I vote him, he votes for me, we vote for each other. I've been really enjoying my feud with Denson. So I mean, if that's true, then I do appreciate it.
Denson, with Jess having immunity, the pitch to not that you think Jess is the best player here is one thing, but if it's not you tonight, then who should it be?
Honestly, I don't care. I honestly don't. At this point, everyone has kind of proven to me that they're willing to lay down, which is fine. You've seen it happen on the real show, and it seems like that's what people are trying to do here. So it's like, okay, yeah, cool. Whoever goes. I know where I'm voting. I've told certain people where I'm voting. Do I expect there to be a majority? Probably not. I also have let everyone know that, like, and I told you guys this last time, it's all game. I'm not actually real life upset. I don't want any of you to like die or anything. But yeah, I'm voting somewhere. I told people that that's where I was going to vote. Maybe they'll vote with me, maybe they won't. But um, it doesn't really. It's not fun. It's not fun. And I've got my little nervous measuring tape right here, but it's not fun. But it's been a fun ride, and if I do go, I can go chill with the jury for a couple days.
Now, Tyler, as somebody who has been a victim of the Final Five twist in the past, you hear someone openly saying, "This one person is not going to be chosen by me if I get it." Does that give you pause? Does that make you rethink things? Like, how does that affect your strategy for tonight?
Sorry, someone just tried to FaceTime me. Um, for me, being a victim of Final Five, and I'm sure Denson might feel the same way, like it is an anxiety-inducing feeling when you kind of feel helpless. Like there's not much you can say in that moment that truly twists the mind of the person throwing the javelin or using that twist. You can plead your case all you want, but if someone comes in with a plan that they know who they're going to save or whatever, like it's really hard in those 2 minutes to be able to flip that. And so, what I've learned from the Final Five twist is that it is really important to connect with everybody and just at least touch base. Even if you're not working together, at least touch base, continue the conversation and try to like make them see like there's still more game to be played after five. At four is a really critical junction that could change the course of the game even. And so that would be what I think I have going into the final five is I at least have the piece of being taken out at that point and know what it feels like, but someone else might not, and they might be really anxious and almost dig a hole for themselves in that moment.
I know the Final Five is a big focus, but there's also the caveat that as after tonight, there will be more people on the jury than in the game. Does that weigh on you at all, Tyler? About like are you set up well for the end game?
I think it's something. I feel like I've said this a lot where if you're not thinking about it, I think you're lying of what does it look like if I make it to the end? And who on the jury is gonna vouch for me as a person, as a gamer? What are they looking for? Is a question that I've asked myself of like, what kind of jury do we have? Do we have one that's gonna respect the moves, or do we have one who's gonna respect the emotion, and vote based on that? So everyone should be thinking about it because we're in a game where at this point 15 people have left, whether they're on the jury or they're out of the game. And so we're really close to being able to vouch for ourselves in the final seats. So
Nova, all-star games tend to have a toxicity and a lot of really negatively hurt feelings floating through them. Do you feel like that's rung true for this season?
So before I start, because that was a question about emotion, I would like to preface that if I seem like I'm on the verge of tears, it's not because of the game, it's because I've had a rough night. I think it's really hard to separate emotions. I think it's very, very hard to not get your feelings hurt, especially, I'd say, because it's an All-Stars game. This is an All-Stars game. Everyone really, really wanted to be here. Everyone really, really wants to play. And now that we're at Final 7, the end feels real. And there's nothing that stings worse than feeling like you're so close to the end and you can't touch it. So I definitely think that people will get their feelings hurt, but I also think that the people here are really good people, and I think we'll get our feelings hurt and we'll cry about it, and then after the game we'll be able to put things aside and be friends.
Do you think that everybody is playing with the same mentality?
Oh no, definitely not. I think everybody has a different mentality to how they play the game, and I think that's why we were all chosen, was because of our very different mentalities and approaches. I'm sure there's some people that are playing more strategic games. There's people that are playing more loyal, uh, straight up kind of games. There's people that are playing, like, everybody's got different mentalities. Everybody finds a different way to think about things to make it easier for themselves.
Okay. All right. Well, I made my round of questioning. I tried something a little bit different tonight. Instead of doing a circle twice, I asked a question with an immediate follow-up. So we may carry on going forward with that method. But before we get to the vote, we always have time for a burning desire. Does anybody have anybody they feel they need to call out or possibly say something to defend themselves before we get to the vote?
I'm Mr. Oh, no, Scott. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, like, I think we all know that a big part of Survivor is the prisoner's dilemma, where you don't know what's actually going on. You only know what your subjective experience is. So I think it's important to keep, I mean, all of us, that we keep in mind that, like, we don't see the whole story, we don't know the whole story. So it's very easy to assume that we know what's going on, or to assume that, person X is doing this or person Y is doing that. We don't know. We don't know. And there's no way to know. That's just the reality of it. So I think we you got to be careful of of reading into things too much when people say things, whether that is because you hear something and you think, oh my God, this is what's happening, or you hear something and think, wait, that's not the truth, or you hear something and think, how does this affect me later? Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is we don't know, and we don't know what we don't know. So we just got to, like, let the chips fall where they may, I guess. I don't know if that did anything. If that, like, explains anything.
Maybe.
For me, anyone watching or has played a game with me before on prod or in this game, you know that I'm Mr. No big moves, because big moves are stupid. Well, if you want to do one, it is 7. So I already broke my no advantages and idols last round. This round, I'll say, hey, you know what? If you want to do one, I'll hop on board the Will Wall train for one round, and I'll do it. But if not, whatever. I'll go back to hating big moves. It's not a big deal.
All right. On that note, isn't it the ultimate Survivor dilemma of how do you manage to put players onto a jury, and then you have to convince them that your experience to get to the end is better than those that you are sitting next to? And we'll find out if a big move is about to be made. I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to mute myself while I am away. Please feel free to give shout outs and talk about anything you want, but you are not allowed to talk about this vote or the game. That includes in DMs. All right. Thank you. Have a good night. I'll be back.
Shout out to Jackie from Padlock and Montes. Since Juan's not here, on his behalf, I'll say shout out to Chanel, because she's what? That girl.
You guys want to see my emotional support puppet?
What is it? Is it a
It's a
teapot?
puppet. It's a puppet.
Oh, it's
He's like
Stitch.
a little-
Stitch.
Yeah, Stitch.
Oh, it's those thingies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out that girl. Sorry, I've been trying to find the unmute button for like
Shout
the
out
last
that
10
girl.
seconds.
And shout out to Kit and Timmy. They're
Uh,
not always helpful, but I love them anyway.
Shout out to my dogs at the crib, especially Austin, who was my loved one for the challenge. Love that we killed it terribly. We were the worst, and I loved every second of it. Also, want to give a shout out. I don't think I've done it this season to all of the trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming, and gender fluid athletes out there. Thank you for doing what you do, and stay strong. Keep it up.
I can't really follow that, but I'll try. Um, I did my first shout outs of the game last week. I'll do it again. Uh, Thank you, Julia, for helping me with the challenge and for coming over and celebrating with drinks the other night after the idol play. Crispy, once again, it's fun going back and forth with you. Thank you for not taking anything I say too seriously. And also, I can't believe you actually still like the season of Yellow Jackets, but it's fine. Yeah.
Yellow Jackets, crazy.
I guess I should shout out my own podcast, not just Juan's, especially since one of them helped me get immunity tonight. Shout out to Jeff and Kilby with an extra special zhuzh for Kilby for being a really good partner for this comp. You're the best.
I guess also shout out to Major Tom for being the bestest and fluffiest boy and keeping an eye on my mom when I'm not able to.
Shout out to Julia Rowe and her, what is it? Her venti iced strawberry acai refresher with light ice and extra berries made with water water, of course, because lemonade is too sweet. I don't know if she's watching or if she cares.
I really love that drink, but I was told by a barista once to try it with apple juice, and I've never turned back. Life changing.
What does Julia say? Let's find out.
Well, she doesn't
I
like
used to-
sweet. She might not like it, but I definitely think that if she's watching or if Denson wants to share with her, that is a great try. It changed my life in undergrad.
I used to work at a Starbucks and can confirm they're all the refreshers with apple juice are bomb as fuck. So good.
Oh my God, I ate a bunch of Indian food again, and it's like, you know, coming up.
Shout out to all the loved ones that participated during the loved one comp. We really appreciate all of you. All right. I have the votes. But before I read the votes, if anybody has a hidden immunity idol, tarot card, or other relevant advantage that you would like to play, now would be the time to do so. All right. Once the votes are read, decision is final. The competitor with the most votes will have a moment to speak their piece, and then they must leave the Zoom immediately. I'll read the votes. First vote. Nova. One vote Nova. Denson. One vote Nova, one vote Denson. Denson. Two votes Denson, one vote Nova. Denson. Three votes Denson, one vote Nova. The next competitor to be bested by the competition and to have been defeated in the Olympic Games and the seventh member of our juror is Coach Denson. you may now speak your piece.
Yeah. Once again, yeah, actually, being on all seriousness, thank you, Crispy and Julia. It's been a lot of fun having my pod chat this season. Thank you to Prod for feeling like I deserve to be back here. I really did appreciate that that message. And I hope that me and everyone else put on a good performance for all of y'all this season. I know we've got a couple days left. Yeah, I'll see you guys in a few days.
Thank you, Denson. Much appreciated. All right. Soon we have a live competition coming up to compete for final immunity. And then we are on the road to finale night. You got to get through. What?
You just said they're
Final
competing for
immunity?
final immunity?
No, I said live immunity.
I sounded like final.
I don't think
Final
I said
five.
no.
I was like, what is twist? The final immunity of final six?
Final six immunity. Final six immunity. Yes. Yes. Competing for the live final six immunity. There's several more immunity challenges to go. Surprise! Just so you know. Yes. And then immediately, then you will have the final six judges panel, followed by the dreaded javelin, where I will remind you, just because you get the javelin doesn't mean you can't miss.
Does it mean?